Hello. I wanted to make this video to continue on with what I got earlier about the sacrifices that were offered up by Cain and Abel and the difference of those sacrifices. That one took life and one actually produced life and produced seed to continue producing life. I'm at the book of Mark right now, chapter 3. And I'm going to start by reading at verse 1. And he entered again into the synagogue, and there was a man there with a withered hand. And they watched him, whether he would heal him on the Sabbath day, that they might accuse him. Who watched too? The scribes and Sadducees of the synagogue, the priests of the synagogue, the Jewish priests of the synagogue watched Jesus to see if he would heal somebody on the Sabbath so that they might accuse him and take his life. We have an example right there of one sacrifice that would increase life and one sacrifice that would decrease life. Just in this chapter 3 of Mark. Just in the first two verses. Chapter 3, or verse 3, and he saith unto the man which had the withered hand, stand up, stand and come forth. And he saith unto them that watched, is it lawful for me to do good on the Sabbath days, or to do evil, to save life, or to kill? Cain and Abel, one gave life, one saved life. One sacrifice took life, one sacrifice gave life. Verse 5, and when he had looked around about on them with anger, here's an example of where Jesus was angry. Being grieved in spirit for the hardness of their hearts, he saith unto the man, stretch forth thy hand. And he stretched it out, and his hand was restored whole as the other. And the Pharisees went forth and straightway took counsel with the Herodians against him, how they might destroy him. How they might destroy Jesus that gave life. There's a example in this small 6 verses of Mark chapter 3 of God's chosen and of the devil's chosen. Right here. For all to see. If they can have understanding for it. One gives life, even to parts that have been cut off, and one takes life. One comes to kill, steal, and destroy, and one comes to give life and life more abundantly. So we have a choice right there of who we want to give our allegiance to. Who do we want to give our worship to? We can't keep our worship for ourselves because we're born worshiping. It's an inherent part of who we are. Verse 29. Verse 28 of chapter 3 of Mark. Verily I say unto you, all sins shall be forgiven unto the sons of men, and blasphemies wherewith soever there shall be blasphemed. But they that shall blaspheme against the Holy Ghost hath never get forgiveness, but is in danger of eternal damnation, because they said he hath an unclean spirit about Jesus. There came then his brethren and his mother and siblings, standing without sense unto him, calling him. And the multitude sat about him, and they said unto him, Behold, thy mother and thy brethren without seek for thee. Verse 33, and he answered them, saying, Who is my mother, and who is my brethren? And he looked round about on them which sat about with him, and said, Behold, my mother and my brethren. For whosoever shall do the will of God, the same is my brother, and my sister, and my mother. Verse 25, and if a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself, and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. This is exactly what we're seeing right now. Satan fighting himself. And he will not stand. Comes to an end. The Ouroboros eats its own tail. Have a good one.